Good afternoon, class 8. So today we will be starting with a new chapter, that is the vision of the constitution, and this will be the final chapter for your final term examination. So before starting the chapter, one thing that every student should have in his mind is that why are we studying this chapter? So we need to understand this. So students, why are we studying this chapter? We are studying this chapter in order to understand the ideas, the ideals and the visions of the constitution. As in your previous lessons, what you have already learned is a constitution is a written constitution. It has a set of rules, beliefs, right? And it is a rigid as well as flexible constitution. So these are all the ideas and ideals, and we need to understand that. And one of the main important vision of our constitution is that India should be a free and sovereign nation. Okay, so that was one of the most important vision of our constitution. And another one is to understand the value of human rights. Okay, so in this chapter we will be learning about some of the fundamental rights. So while studying this chapter, we need to understand the human rights and also know to value them. And the last one is to understand that constitution is one of the most important living document. Okay, constitution is one of the most important, right? It is one of the most important living documents. So living document simply means constitution has effect on everyone in our day-to-day lives. Okay, it is affecting everyone in our day-to-day life. So that is the meaning of living document, and we need to understand that constitution is one of the most important document, and there is no other document above constitution. So now let us start the chapter. Okay, introduction. So before introduction, I would like to explain what do you mean by constitution. I think you've already learned in your previous lessons, but a constitution, it is a set of rules, laws by which the government tries to rule the country. Okay, it is a book where it has a set of rules, laws, and the government runs the country. And it is also a book which safeguards, okay, which safeguards or protect our individual rights. Okay, so if anyone asks you what do you mean by a constitution, you should be able to tell them that it is a set of rules and laws by which the government rules the country, and it is also a book which safeguards and protects individual human rights. Okay, so coming on to the next topic, that is the Indian Constitution. Okay, the main features of the Indian Constitution. So Indian Constitution was made with an idea in our leaders' mind that it should be the reflection of what the leaders wanted it to be. Like for example, our leaders wanted India to be a free, sovereign, equal, right? So it should have all those kind of values what our forefathers or what our leaders wanted it to be in the Indian Constitution. And another thing is Indian Constitution is regarded as the longest constitution. As we all know that Indian Constitution has been derived and its ideas has been derived from many constitutions. So it is regarded as one of the longest constitution. And in the Indian Constitution, it not only contains rules, laws, but it also contains fundamental rights and duties, and it also protects it. Okay, it also contains fundamental rights and duties, and it has the provision to protect it. So that were the main features of the Indian Constitution. So let us move on to another subtopic, that is the principles in the preamble. Okay, so what do you mean by a preamble? So let's take for example, I think you've seen a book, and inside that book there is always a preface. Okay, that preface is the preamble in the Constitution. Okay, it is a brief introductory statement. The first brief introductory statement is known as preamble. So as you can see from this image, this is a good example of our preamble. Okay, it is the brief introductory statement. Introductory means it is the first page that explains the spirit of the Constitution. And number 2 is it contains the essence of the constitution. So what this means is, whatever ideas, whatever values that has been or that is inside the constitution, so this is defined by the constitution. This is defined by the preamble of the constitution. Like for example, look over here, the ideas like sovereign democracy, justice, republic, liberty, equality, fraternity. So I will be explaining all this afterwards, but these are all the values that is inside the constitution and has been defined in the preamble. Okay, so what this means is, it contains the essence of the constitution, and it also contains the goals to be achieved by both the government. Okay, the goals to be achieved by both the government and the citizens. Okay, so now let us move on to the principles of the preamble. That is, number one is sovereignty. Okay, first before beginning this, let us read the preamble first. Okay, it says, we the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign democratic republic, and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assured the dignity of the individual and the unity of the nation. And in our Constituent Assembly, this 26th of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact and give to ourselves this constitution. Okay, so this is the main writings inside our preamble. So if anyone asks you what do you mean by a preamble, you should be able to tell them that a preamble is the introductory statement which expresses all the feelings, all the essence of our constitution, and it also mentions the goals that has to be achieved by both the government and the citizen of India. Okay, now let us move on to the principles of the preamble that has been expressed over there. So number one is sovereignty. Okay, sovereignty simply means independent as in independent from any internal as well as external control. And what it also implies is, state is everything in our country. Okay, no one is above state. There is no other authority that is above the state. And in a sovereign nation, government is chosen by the people. Okay, as we all know, we elect our own government, so that expresses the feeling of sovereignty. Okay, government is chosen by the people. Let us move on to the second principle, that is socialist. So this has been added and amended in the 42nd Amendment Act. So what this feeling expresses is, all the resources are owned by the state. In a socialist country, all the resources are owned by the state. That means many resources, it is in the control of the government. And what it also ensures is, there should be equal social and economic status. In a socialist country, the social status and economic status should be equal for everyone. Okay, regardless of caste, creed and religion. In a socialist nation, the status of a common people should be equal. Now let us move on to another topic or another principle that has been expressed in our preamble is a secular. Secular simply means that all the religions are treated equally. Okay, all the religions are treated equally. And what our constitution also describes is that we do not have any kind of official state religion. Like for example, in many nations like Pakistan, the official religion of Pakistan is Islam, right? So in India we do not have any kind of official state religion. And secular also means that irrespective of any religion, we have the right to practice that religion, okay, and no one can stop us, okay. So right to practice any religion. And what it also explains is that every religion is equal, okay. Every religion and everyone present in that religion is equal, so everyone is considered equal. So that is the meaning of secular. So democratic, so as we all know, so democratic simply means the nation will be for the people and by the people, okay. So we will be the, okay, we will be responsible for choosing the government, okay, that we meaning the people, okay, we will be responsible for choosing the government, and that government will work for the people. So that is the basic essence of democratic. Now let us move on to another principle, that is republic. So republic in the preamble simply wants to express that the head of the state is always elected by the state, okay. State as in the government, and the government is chosen by the people, okay. There is no one above the state, like for example there are no kings, no rulers, nothing but the state, which will be elected by this, which will be elected by the people. And the power, okay, the power of the nation will be always in the hands of the people. The power of the nation, the power of the nation or the power of the country will be in the hands of the people. So that is republic. Let us move on to another principle, that is justice. So justice here simply means that fair treatment of everyone in implementing laws. So in laws everyone will be treated equally, irrespective if you are rich, if you are poor, but our law will treat us equally. And what justice also implies is that no one should be exploited, okay, no one should be dominated. If like no one should be dominated, in simple meaning, okay, no one should be exploited. And number 3 is justice should be laid on every grounds, political, social and economical. So this means that justice should be in every field, whether in political, in social life and also in economical life. Justice should be there. Let us move on to the another principle, that is liberty. So liberty simply means freedom, okay, freedom. And freedom is the basic essence of democracy, okay. So if someone asks you what do you mean by democracy, liberty should always come into your mind, okay, liberty should always come into your mind. And you should also be able to think that liberty means freedom, and it is the essence of democracy, okay. So liberty or freedom of thoughts, beliefs, actions and expressions are essential to the development of society as a whole in any democracy, okay. So if a nation wants to be successful, okay, if a nation wants to be great, so it should always have liberty of thought, belief and expressions, okay. So that is, or it will lead to the development of society, and if the society develops, the country will automatically develop. So that is the essence of liberty in our preamble. Another principle is equality. So equality, from the name itself you can understand this, okay. Equality means equal status of everyone before the law, irrespective of caste, religion, creed or sex, okay. Everyone should be treated equally before the law. So that is equality in our preamble. And the last one is fraternity. So fraternity means common brotherhood, okay. So this is also same like the mixture of equality and justice, and there should be no social divisions, and we should have the feeling of oneness and Indianness, Okay, there should not be any social divisions, like for example caste system, religion. Okay, there should not be any social division. Rather, we should have the feeling of oneness and Indianness. Okay, so that is fraternity. So fraternity simply means common brotherhood. Okay, students, so now let us move on to another and the final subtopic, that is the fundamental rights. So in this class or in this chapter, what we will be learning is just the principles of the preamble and the 6 fundamental rights, okay, that we enjoy as the citizen of India. So fundamental rights. So what do you mean by fundamental? Fundamental means basic and, okay, basic and important, or also can be regarded as primary. Okay, so what do you mean by rights? So rights simply means, number 1, essence and the spirit of democracy. Okay, so whenever you hear the word democracy, you have to understand that in that nation people enjoy rights. Okay, and number 2 is right empowers the individual, okay, to improve and develop. So that is rights. So what do you mean by rights? Rights is the essence and the spirit of democracy, and it also empowers, okay, gives the individual to, gives powers to the individuals to improve and develop. So that is the meaning of fundamental rights. Easy, right? So now let us move on to the 6 fundamental rights, that is in the part 3 of the Indian Constitution. Okay, that is in the part 3 of the Indian Constitution. So now let us move on to the first right, the right to equality. So as we have already done this in the features of preamble, it simply expresses those same feelings. So right to equality, it guarantees equality before the law. Okay, everyone should be treated equally before the law. And number 2 is no one can be discriminated. Okay, and number 3 is state can discriminate in the favor of women, children, scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and certain other weaker sections of the society. So what this means is, in our country we still have some weaker sections, like for example scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, okay, children, women, they are still being discriminated. So what the state can do is, state can give them some privileges, okay, some more rights. So state discriminate in favor of this weaker society. In favor of weaker society. And last thing is, the right to equality is the foundation of all rights and liberties. Okay, so right to equality is the foundation of all rights. Okay, so this means that if there is no right to equality, so there are no other rights, like for example rights to freedom, right to liberty. So in order to enjoy those freedom, right to equality is a must. So if in a country there is no right to equality, so that means that country is not a democratic country, and other rights without the right to equality is useless. So therefore it is regarded as the foundation of all the rights and liberties. So let us move on to another right, that is a right to freedom. So right to freedom, number one, simply expresses that right to protection of life and personal liberty. Okay, right to freedom means we have the right to protect our lives. Okay, we have the right to protect our lives and enjoy personal life. Okay, so what this means is we have the right to protect our lives and we cannot interfere in anyone's life. So this protection is given by the right to freedom. And right to freedom also means that we have the freedom of speech, expressions. Okay, freedom of speech simply means that you have the freedom to speak and to express your desires. But freedom of speech and expression does not mean that you can tell anything to anyone. Okay, so these are also being guided by the fundamental rights. Freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom to assemble peacefully. Okay, without arms, you can assemble peacefully in anywhere without any arms and ammunitions. Freedom to form associations, freedom of movement. Okay, if you want to protest anywhere, you have the right to do it, but it should be in a peaceful manner. So freedom to reside anywhere, in our country we have the freedom to go anywhere and settle. Okay, so that is also one right to freedom. And to freedom to practice any profession or occupation. So one person has the right to do any kind of business. Okay, and no one can interfere in his personal life. So those are the rights given by the right to freedom. So now let us move right against exploitation. So right against exploitation prohibits trafficking of human beings. Okay, so trafficking simply means illegal buying and selling of human beings. Like for example, small kids, men and women are bought and sold for illegal business and trades. So trafficking of human beings is prohibited by the right against exploitation. Second one is it prohibits the employment of children. Okay, it prohibits the employment of children who are below the age of 14 years in hazardous job such as in factories and mines. So what this means is children who are not 14 years of age, they are not allowed to work in factories and mines. So this is prohibited by right against exploitation. Children are not allowed to work in factories and mines if their age is below 14 years. Okay, so right against exploitation prohibits trafficking of human beings, and it also prohibits employment of children. Okay, children are not allowed to work in the factories and mines if their age is below 14 years. So now let us move on to another right is cultural and educational right. So what this right does is it protects the rights of minority communities. Okay, like for example, small minority communities like Muslims, like our own communities like Gorkha community and many other communities, they need protection. So this protection is given by cultural and educational rights. And number two is no discrimination in the state or state aided institution. Like for example, whenever you um, go for your further studies, you will not be discriminated. So if you are discriminated, this cultural and educational right will safeguard your right. Okay. And number 3 is educational institution can be set up by the minority communities. So what this means is, educational institutions like schools, corporations, okay, language hubs or educational hubs can be set up by the minority communities in order to enhance, preserve and develop their own culture. So this right has been given to them by the cultural and educational rights. So there are 3 things. It protects the right of the minority communities. There will be no discrimination in the state and state aided institutions. Okay. And number 3 is educational institution can be set up by the minority communities. That this means that schools, universities, colleges, educational hubs can be set up by the minority communities in order to preserve and develop their own culture. Now another one is right to constitutional remedies. So what this right does is, if any of your fundamental rights is violated, okay, if any of the fundamental rights is violated, you as an individual can go to the Supreme Court and fight for your right. Okay. And you are also welcomed by the Supreme Court if any of your fundamental rights are violated. Okay. So that is provided by the constitutional remedies.